Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of MTGFAM, Magic the Gathering, Family and Magic. I'm one of your hosts, Said, aka Said Senpai. That's where you can find me on Twitter. I'm joined by our co-host, Kyle. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kyle C. Carson because I use my real name as my Twitter handle.
That is true. Yeah. And Mason, where can they find you?
You can find me at All I Do Is EDH because that's pretty much all I freaking do.
That indeed. And together we make up the EDH DADs. Again, MTGFAM is a place where we talk about all things magic and all things family. Your one-stop shop for how we can build a better community around Magic the Gathering. So today we want to talk about healing. Healing within Magic the Gathering and healing within the community. So first, of course, our first segment is about the game itself. And then our second segment, we'll get into talking about the real world and how we could pretty much learn from the game itself, or any advice we have for our families and parents out there. So let's get into our first topic, lifegain. How often do you, as a player, as an EDH player, use lifegain within Magic? We know that the life total is a resource. We hear that all the time. But how many of us are actually conscious about making sure that we increase or improve our life totals as we play through the game? Kyle, let's start off with you.
So I'm primarily an aggro player or a combat focused player. So I'm always very conscious of what life totals are. I make sure to put in a couple of life gain cards in my decks because I just understand that even 3 to 5 life here and there can really swing the game. One of the things I was always really conscious of in Lorthos in particular was that I had no life gain in the deck. So I always had to be very careful of my life total and my management of what tax I was going to take, because I had to know that it's not coming back up. There's no healing here. But a lot of the decks I play nowadays, I gain a decent amount of life in any of my decks. I use that life to draw cards. I use that life to just accept backswings because I understand that I'm the big gorilla at the table and people are going to try to punch back at me. I don't know. What about you, Mason?
I lately have been really set in black, so I utilize my life total pretty extensively, mostly with your sorcery speed, card draw, read the bones, sign in blood, that sort of thing. So black is really second nature as using my life as a resource. I really enjoy it, and I don't really run that much life gain in my lists anymore. My meta either tends to be heavy aggro that I can just deal with my decks, and most of my decks have really good removal, or they tend to be combo where your life total just really doesn't matter. So for me, life gain is definitely one of the best resources I have available to me at any one time, and I really don't see that much life gain in my decks unless the deck just really synergizes well with it.
So quick question for you both. As you said, that's a lot of players or players in your meta tend to go for the combos where life doesn't even matter. Is that something that you feel like Wizards or the EDH format is kind of leaning towards these days more so? Kyle, what you think?
Unfortunately, yes. In my opinion, unfortunately, yes. I know some people like to play that style of game. That's fine. I'd just rather beat you down. Most of my decks, even the life gain cards, are going to do damage to you on the way in. It's just the way I like to play. Mason?
It really varies in my meta. I will definitely say that the trend is the people who've been playing longer tend to be more into those lists where there's the good combo that doesn't need to really worry about your life, so on and so forth. And my newer players, or my people who really aren't interested in the competitive part of it, definitely sit at that place where life total does make a difference with them. And you have to adjust accordingly, specifically with that, because I don't want to play a deck that's just going to blow out somebody who doesn't need to worry about their life total because they think they're gaining an insane amount of life. But It's like I said, it's definitely, I think, varies on how long the player has been playing and where they're getting their deck help from when they first start building.
I mean, I'll push back a little bit. I don't think it has anything to do with how long you've been playing, because I've been playing the longest out of everyone in this group, and I'm still the aggro player. So I'll push back a little bit, but I think a fun test you can run to see like how people feel about their life total is like, all right, you have necropotence in play. How much life are you paying? And if they're like, I don't know, maybe like 1 or 2 life, or I'll refill my hand to like 8 or 9 cards and then figure it out. Or if they're like, no, 20 life, done.
I really feel like, Kyle, out of all the different people I've played with, I feel like you're an exception to what I normally see, which is always really interesting.
Ta-da!
Yeah, Kyle definitely does not care about life total. I think he's just counting swings. I've seen plenty of games where his life gets drastically low. He's just like, well, we're here now, so let's deal with it.
Yeah.
This is what happened. Um, I do want to say for a second, while I feel like EDH is moving towards that combo and synergistic play of um, just having chain reactions where your cards are just quickly doing things and you're comboing off or you're storming off, and it almost seems like where life doesn't even seem to matter for that player strategy or your opponent's strategy. But I do still see a lot of life link or life gaining cards being printed within Magic, so they want us to use them. Just looking at quickly at the M21 list, we have 4 commanders with some type of life gaining ability. Ren and Siri inseparable, the dog and cat combo. They both deal damage and gain you life. Niambi is a steam speaker. She flashes in, bounces a creature back to your hand, gains you life. Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. Vampire gives your creature's life link. And last one I
Mangara.
believe was Mangara, the Mangara's back. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Mangara the Diplomat. Lifelink just sitting on there at the top, very top. A 2/4 with lifelink. Why? they just thought that he needed that lifelink, huh? So at the end of the day, they're still encouraging some type of life gaining aspect within these cards. And so, what are your thoughts as far as these new commanders with lifelink? Are you even going to play them? Does the lifelink aspect even matter that much to you?
I mean, I like lifelink. Again, like I'm a primarily like combat focused player, so I look at those resources. The only one that you mentioned that really interests me is Mangara, just because it's card draw in white, and it could literally do anything, and it's card draw in white. It's got my attention.
If I like, they all look interesting, but none of them are really speaking to me so far. Like, they got some cool effects, but I get what you see. I definitely think that we're seeing a lot more of lifelink, not necessarily stapled onto things, but I think we're just seeing it as a keyword a lot more. The farther we get into the year and the next few sets.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking back towards I guess it was the commander precons, and one of my biggest gripes with that was that we kind of just talked about it with the storming and the combos and everything, like the flying shark and the its partner. It just encourages a quick, it's almost like a burn wheel deck or a wheel burn deck, and it's like you better get your life up or it's going to be zero in a matter of seconds.
You know how you deal with that situation? You take out the player. If they're just dead from you
Player
attacking them,
removal. Player removal is the best removal.
I mean, it does work.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Basin, real quick, I believe that you were considering Ukima Stalking Shadow as a partner commander.
So definitely thinking about Ukima. There's just some really interesting applications that commander has, especially when it comes to being able to utilize your life total.
Yeah, and for the listeners, Ukima Stalking Shadow is one in Demir. It's a 2/2 whale wolf.
That's the important part.
I hate saying that out loud. I hate saying that out loud.
Whale wolf.
Why are they? It's a wolf whale. That's what I'm gonna say. Screw it. All right. But it comes with unblockable, can't be blocked. But also, when it leaves the battlefield, deals X damage to a target player, you gain X life, where X is its power. So this is by itself, it's a Demir, but with his partner, it's Sultai. So it's a blue, black, and sometimes green creature that encourages a little bit of life gain, and I think that's pretty. I think that balances it out a little bit as far as latest commanders within the Ikoria set. And we also have Snap Decks, the one and Mardu, 3/5 dinosaur cat nightmare. When this thing mutates, you gain 4 life. And we also have Nethroi. Nethroy? Is
Yeah,
that
it's got
right, Kyle?
lifelink. Nethroy.
Yeah, yeah.
Troy. Lifelink.
Nethroy. So I put all the Commutate legends out of my mind, but you recently brought it up, and the fact that it has the Death Touch and Lifelink actually made me give it another look. I know that's not the most appealing part of it, but it actually made me give it another look.
I mean, it definitely makes me happier with the card. Again, like I like to have a little bit of incidental life gain in all my decks.
So, real quick, let's talk about some of the popular commanders out there with life gain that definitely is either a big focus of the deck, or these are popular commanders that use life gain or life link abilities to pretty much stay in the game and help people go the distance. What are some that come to your mind, Kyle?
I mean, first one comes to my mind is the man sitting on the chair. It's a Loro. Like, maybe you cast him, maybe you don't, but you gain 2 life every turn.
Yeah, yeah. People, he's probably the most. I would probably say the most well known.
I
This
mean,
was
he's
what was
just
it?
so
What was
passive.
the ability?
He's got the eminence ability.
Eminence. Yep, there it is. Yep.
Yeah, for 3 and then a black, white, and a blue, you get a 5/5, a 4/5. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You gain 2 life every turn, and you can eventually play him and drain people. You're gaining life every turn. You're playing a control deck.
Yeah. One that I'm pretty sure everyone has seen out there is Atraxa. Whew. Atraxa is just keyword soup on a 4/4 body. But I believe the most devastating aspects of Atraxa is the Death Touch lifelink, because it has. I mean, the vigilance definitely helps, but the fact that it has that Death Touch, people don't want to swing back into it after you crack them over the side of the head. And then it also has that life link, so you're constantly gaining your life each turn, whether you're buffing up Atraxa or you're just simply keeping it at 4/4, and that can get out of control within a few turns.
Well, I mean, it's also nice because like Atraxa generates a lot of hate at most tables, especially casual tables. And the fact that you're able to gain life on your commander means that, like, sure, go ahead and you can try to beat me up. I'm going to play a 4/4 lifelinker that flies and has death touch and has vigilance. Now what?
Mason, you talked to us about Alenda recently with the new Commander Dies trigger. So, what are your thoughts on Alenda?
Uh,
If you were able to even get your hands on one?
Luckily enough, being the collector that I am, I bought a foil Alenda for another list literally 2 weeks before the announcement. So, from a playing standpoint, I'm super happy that I don't have to pay that insane price on it. And from a financial standpoint, money, but Alenda, like, just the fact that she has lifelink just kind of stapled on there.
Hmm.
She really didn't need it, but the fact that it's on there just makes her a little bit better. It doesn't really give too much to the overall appeal of the card in general, but it's an Orzhov card. If it doesn't have something to do with life and death, it's something's probably wrong, obviously. Talking in the same vein, we have cards, another Orzhov card, because I love Orzhov in general. You have Comball, Console of Allocation. You're a white and a black. Whenever an opponent cast a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That kind of card, especially in our format, is super dangerous. If you can keep it on the field, you're just going to drain the board out, especially with our current state of the game, with everybody being super relying on your Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, your Mana Rocks, and stuff like that, your pinpoint removal. He just gets you so much value, and he's super popular for that exact reason. He is just a workhorse on a 2/3 body. It's insane.
Speaking of 2/3 bodies, we've got Ailey. I mean, she's a 2/3, she's got Death Touch, but her ability to sack creatures to gain life, plus she's only 2 mana, and then eventually you can sack creatures to start vindicating things. Like, I guess it's non-land permanent, which is a bummer. But it's a fun little commander. I've tried it out. I've had fun with it. So have you tried any of these lifegain popular ones?
I'm actually going to build Ailey pretty soon, because of a new card that drew my attention, and I'm not going to talk about it right here because I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of me talking about it. But it's Carnival of Souls, good people. We're going to talk about Carnival of Souls one episode. It's a card that people don't know about. People don't know about this card, and they need to know about it. So I'm going to teach people in my neck of the woods how Carnival of Souls work using Ailey. But before we get off of the Orzhov, I'm pretty sure we can't not talk about Tymna, right?
Yeah, there's no way we can't talk about Tymna, especially with the splash that she's made in competitive Magic, plus her price tag being $47 right now.
She's how
it's
much?
Insane. She's $47.50.
Goodness.
Yeah. Her and a couple of the other competitive commanders shot up really, really significantly lately. And obviously, when you think about it, just seeing how good she is, she's going to have the same CMC as frickin' Comball, 1 a white and a black for a 2/2 human cleric lifelink. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you can pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that you have dealt damage to this turn. If you do, you draw X cards. Her being able to hit in so early with significant ramp has just made her one of the most valuable cards when it comes to competitive commander. It's absolutely insane.
I never would have thought.
She's super good. Super good.
Tymna was one of those ones that it's really like the only partner that I probably didn't get because I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I'm glad people are enjoying it.
See, that was Thrasios for me.
And now look where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, Thrasios is basically a mana dump, so.
Anyway, so what are some of the more underrated cards for lifegain?
I will start off with one that I've actually built really recently, and that's going to be Lycia Sanguine Tribune. Lycia, in general, is a very unique commander when it comes to the lifegain archetype. She starts out Vampire Soldier for 5, a red, white, black, so Mardu. She costs 1 colorless less for each 1 life you've gained this turn. She has First Strike and Lifelink, and you can pay 5 life to put 3+1/+1 counters on her, but you can only activate that at sorcery speed and only once per turn, I believe. No, it's on your turn, so not necessarily sorcery. But she's a 4/4, and she does just really interesting things. You don't ever see her, but it's so easy just to set up incremental life gain in our format and make it to where that 5 mana literally means nothing to you. She just does really fun stuff. She gets in for that first strike. You gain life no matter like how many +1/+1 counters on it. So you're just gonna be gaining insane life as long as you can keep her on the board. And it's really funny. I've actually played her online once and had activated her ability to put her up to a 7/7 and swung in, hit my opponent, gained 7 life, and due to some ability, they made me sacrifice her. And in my second main phase, I just went ahead and recast her for Mardu because I gained so much life. She's just fun. She's a really cool one, and you never see her in the wild, at least in my area. And then go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so I did build her once, and a standout card in my Lycia build was one that I never even saw coming. Gerard Capuchin. This is the first card, first printing of Gerard. He's 3 and 2 white. His ability, his static ability is at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life for each card in target opponent's hand. So we all know those players who like to just keep a full grip or have unlimited hand size. So he worked wonders when I built Lycia. No matter how much life I lost, he was always there to gain me life when my turn came back around.
That's crazy. I have never thought about that for her.
Kyle, did you have an input on this?
I mean, there are some cards that I think that used to be like format staples that have kind of become underrated. And the one that immediately comes to mind in my mind in that category is Loxodon Warhammer. It's a simple equipment for 3 colorless mana, 3 mana to equip, +3/+0 and lifelink, and trample. And like I just don't see it anymore. But like I used to see it all the time. I used to play in all my decks. I just don't do it that often. I don't know what happened, if the format's shifted away from it, if it's just not efficient enough.
It was so good.
I mean, it really was. And it's weird that we just don't see it at all anymore. Have you guys ever played Crypt Incursion? So, Crypt Incursion is 2 and a black, and it's an instant. So I used to play this in Toshiro, and it removes all the creatures from someone's graveyard, and you gain 3 life for each one you take away. So a lot of people are going for that Living Death, going for that Nethroi, going for that whatever to just animate their whole graveyard. You're just like, whoops, they're all gone. I gained 30 life. Thanks.
It's crazy. That's a lot of life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it also fits into our recent topic as far as graveyard hate.
Yeah, and then
I mean, if we're gonna be talking, go ahead, Kyle.
okay, so we'll talk about what Mason has to talk about in a minute, but I want to talk about life gain with teeth, because again, like I want my cards to gain life, but I still want to hit you with them. So I play a lot of Thragtusk. For 4 and a green, it's a 5/3, gains 5 life when it enters the battlefield. When it leaves the battlefield, you get a 3/3 beast. Love that card. Like it's so efficient for like an aggro based player. It's a nice, not quite curve topper, but on the high end of the curve. Swings in, it dies, you get a body, you reanimate, you get a couple of bodies. And then a very similar card that I'm looking to try that I haven't tried yet is I'm gonna say new because it's the newer version, but it's several years old. Linvala the Preserver. It's a 6 mana 5/5 angel, but if someone has more life than you, when it enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. And if they have more creatures than you get a 3/3 angel. I mean, it's just nice little like bouncing back mechanics.
That's pretty cool. But talking about cards you just never see anymore, you're going on with like Loxodon Warhammer and stuff like that. What in the heck ever happened to like Vishkal Blood Arbiter?
I don't know.
This was printed in literally printed in the very first commander set was ever printed by Wizards. And it's just sweet. I mean, the dude looks like he has sunglasses on just looking in the normal art. It's hilarious.
I gotta say, Vishkal scared the crap out of me when I started playing Magic. It was a guy at our LGS who used to play him, and I was like, why do they make cards like this?
I have seen the most hilarious thing done with Vishkal in Commander, and it was a theme deck, and it was all dudes sitting in chairs or chairs in the artwork, and it was freaking hilarious.
Awesome. That sounds dope.
But like, so you have, obviously we're talking about lifelink and stuff, but flying lifelink for 4, a white and 2 black for a 5/5 vampire, sacrifice a creature, put +1/+1 counters on him, where X is the creature sacrifice power, and then you can remove all counters from him to give a target creature -1/-1 until end of turn for each +1/+1 counter on him. It gave us a way to be able to weaponize what he did, at least a lifelink back then. And you got to think something that big hitting back in original Commander, you just like, yeah, I'm going with a 5/5 flying lifelink vampire. Suck it.
He used to be a lot of fun to see, but you don't see him anymore. And like you don't even see Lycia, who I think is a better version of him. So I don't know if it's just, again, the format's moved on or what's going on.
There's just things that are more efficient in general, I believe. I mean, it's stuff like that, and like one of my other favorite cards that I used to play the heck out of was like Divinity of Pride.
Oh yeah,
Five,
yeah,
yeah, 5 hybrid Orzhov, flying lifelink, 4/4 spirit avatar that gets +4 if you have 25 life or more. I mean, I was today years old when I realized this thing wasn't a fucking bird.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, I realized today that, like, literally, like we were talking earlier, I did not know this thing was not a bird. Like, I just obviously looked at the art and it looked like a bird, and then you freaking said something, Kyle, and I'm like, what? Wait, what? And I just look at it, I'm like,
this blew my mind too.
crap.
Like I just found out today as well.
Yeah, you guys need to look at the art better.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
I really need to. That's freaking disgusting.
So I want to give my 2 cents on some underrated cards as well. So I played a commander called Sapling of Kofner a while back. This thing I've never ever seen another player play it. Even when I do like the EDH rec just to see what's going on, see what the top synergies are, they're pretty much just like tree folk builds. And I'm like, why do we need to have just tree folks? You can do so much more. You can even go monocolor if you want to, because it's 3 in hybrid mana of black or green. So I mean, sure, you can do both colors, or you can choose one color. But I choose to go both colors, and there's actually a few small combos within Sapling and Kofner you can pull off. But just to read it real quick, it's first of all, it's indestructible, so that's a plus.
Her plans may yet bear fruit.
That's right. It's a 2/5, but that doesn't really matter. Whenever Sapling and Kofner attacks, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you gain life equal to the creature's toughness, lose life equal to its power, and put that card into your hand. So is life gain and card draw, depending on how you build your deck. And there's just so many ways to manipulate the top of your library, build your deck around cards that have either high power, low toughness, or let me read that one more time. It's a creature, you gain life equal to its toughness. So yeah, high toughness, low power, or if you want to do it the other way around, that's fine. Sure, go for it. But one thing that I feel like people probably sleep on with this is pairing it up with Sanguine Bond. And I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with Sanguine Bond, right? At least I hope so. Yeah. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So you're gaining life with Sapling and Kofners. So make a player lose life every time you gain life. And that's just a quick little interaction that you can use that people don't even see coming. And you don't even have to run the combo with Sanguine Bond, the Exquisite Blood enchantment. Whenever opponent loses life, you gain that much life, and then there's a chain reaction where you just take all the players out basically when someone loses life or you gain life. So that's my little 2 cents on why people should probably run Sapling and Kofner a little bit more.
I mean, I really like the card.
Quick question: is it ever wise, or is there ever a benefit to helping out your opponent's gain more life? Like, I've seen some situations where there are some cards where you're helping your opponents gain life, and it's not even necessarily group hug like Field of Griff. Like, there are some cards that will say that you can do some things, but your opponents will gain life, or the whole board gains life. You guys ever feel like there's a point in time where that's beneficial?
So one of the things that you can do with it, and I'll bring this up just because I'm a crazy person, is Selenia. It's an Orzhov Angel. You could pay 2 life to bounce it to your hand. But what you do is you end up holding priority, draining yourself, and then switching your life total with someone else so that they die and you don't. Or they go to like 1 life. So if you're doing that complicated plan and you want to make your opponent gain life, yeah, sure, why not? Sure, you can have all the life. One of the things I like about Kenrith, the Returned King, is that he can give people life. I think it's a really cool thing, like when you know that you can't win a game by yourself. Be like, sure, he gains some life because they're gonna kill me otherwise, or give her some life because She saved me at the beginning of the first game or something like that.
Yeah, I can definitely see situations where you can be benevolent. If you want to think about a king, be benevolent and pass out higher life totals around the table. Just do little favors here and there. Keep a player from dying because there's sometimes Commander is a game where you need to gang up on a player or two, and uh, if your temporary partner is about to die by low life total, then sometimes you may need to help them out. Just something for people to keep in mind.
I mean, you gotta love politics, man.
Yeah, politics with, but I think people kind of frown upon politics when it comes to card draw and life gain. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
No, I think you're right. I think it draws like a weird line of like the game's got to end sometime, and when you're giving people cards and life, it's just like you're pushing the game further and further on, especially if you want it to end by combat.
Hey, before we move on to the next topic, I actually got distracted by something, and this is probably a good reason why we don't see this particular card. One, because it's banned in Commander. But you guys remember Gristlebrand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just real quick for the audience, 4 and 4 black, so 8 CMC, 7/7, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. There's another and it flies. But there's another keyword in there that I never realized was there.
You didn't know he had lifelink?
Lifelink. I never knew he had lifelink.
Oh, dude, he was huge. I used to watch Legacy streams on Sundays when I was working my last job, and he was huge in Legacy. And it was just funny watching people swing and then just say, "Nah, I'm drawing 7 cards." It like the amount of value he gave was just stupid.
Yeah. Do you think he would have been better if he? Well, not better, but do you think he would have been playable if it didn't have the lifelink? Like, if you can take away one thing from it, I think it would be the lifelink.
No,
I still think he would be
no.
stupid strong.
Like, no. He's a reanimatable Yawgmoth bargain. No.
Okay, fine. You win. There's no convincing you. All right. So how about we move into our second topic for the day? So we are in a very depending on how you look at it, it's either volatile or very radical change that is coming within this country right now, and pretty much nothing is untouched. Our entertainment, as far as video games or movies or TV shows or your sports, your politics, our Magic the Gathering hobby card game, um, everything is kind of taking a turn as far as not necessarily taking a turn, but everything is being reevaluated, and there's a lot of introspection going on right now. So we want to talk about moving towards healing within the Magic the Gathering community as far as what we think that players or the the top brass, the game makers themselves, corporate, whatever. What is it that we all could be doing to help foster a better community among ourselves? Um, Kyle, I'll let you go ahead and start this off first. If there's anything you specifically want to talk about.
I mean, I think the some of the biggest things we can do is try to understand how other people feel and not alienate people because they're different than us, especially for things they can't control. Um, I think that's a really big thing. Now, you can try to fix stupid, you can try to fix wrong, but outside of those, like, I you spend so much time in the magic world and in the family world kind of shooting at each other for no particular reason, eating at ourselves like, oh, well, you're just a CD EDH player and I'm a casual EDH player and we can't get along. Like, you're just all playing the same game. Have fun, sit down, relax. Um, I, if people could relax more, I think there'd be a lot better world.
I've got to say that your point really does hit home. Um, In my meta, I definitely see both ends of the spectrum. I see your CDH players and your casual players, and your CDHers talk crap on your casuals talk crap on your CEDH players, and it's just a never ending cycle. But like you said, we're all playing the same game. Just because we don't play at the same level or play the same strategies doesn't mean anything. And you can tend to see people kind of get ostracized based on the tendencies that you have from either side. Like, well, I don't want to be around that person anymore because they always want to play something that's going to win by turn X, or I don't want to play anything anymore because they don't know how to use the most efficient way of doing things, and it really causes a whole community of exclusion. Like, I'm not going to play with them, and my group won't play with them. And we can't have that as a Magic community, something like that that continues to tear us apart. We need to stand together. If we don't stand together and include everyone as our sisters and brothers in this game and in our causes for this, we're just never going to stand as a proper community, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're going, and I think a lot of it can even just go to like stepping outside your comfort zone, playing at their level, or playing with a stranger. Like I can't tell you how many times I've gone to um, a Magic Fest or a Gen Con or something like that, or even my LGS, and I've been like, I've got three people, I need a fourth, and I'll just start walking to tables like, hey, we want a fourth? Fourth? Who wants to play? And like, I don't care. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care who you're attracted to. I don't care what bathroom you use. Just come play Magic with me.
Yeah, and I think the biggest word in here is community. And if we are planning on having an actual community, I think we actually need to take an actual look at the word. And I'm not going to say it here, but just when people get a chance to actually think about community, just actually take a time and look at the definition of it itself. So, and just speaking for myself, I come from a background in education and psychology, and I actually teach multiculturalism. And so I actually teach teachers how to go into a classroom with a multicultural mindset before they go and work with children. So one of the first things that I have them do, and one of the biggest things that I have them do throughout the semester, is that you need to recognize what your bias is. Everyone on this planet has a bias towards something or a bias against something. And before you can go into your own little community, your own environment, a teacher's classroom is their domain, their community that they're building. They need to recognize what their biases are and address those before they start working with young people. So I see it the same way pretty much no matter what space I go into. Even if we're just talking about playing a game, you're still interacting with human beings. So understand what your biases are and how you look at the world, and understand that not everyone else looks at the world the same way you do. And one of the biggest things to take away from this also is that diversity within a fantasy game can be done, but it also has to be done with actual intentional thought. So recently there was a little blowback as far as one of the someone in the community talking about Kamigawa. We need to go back and we need to focus on just ninjas and samurai. And at this time, that can be a little. Um, it can be taken a little bit not necessarily out of context, but there should be a little bit more thought when having these conversations right now at this moment, because we can get caught up into the fantastical elements of actual real life cultures and how they fit into our game spaces. And that can be a little dangerous when everyone doesn't have is not coming from the same context. So just one thing that I advise, whether it's the higher ups with Magic or anyone who's working in certain divisions, is transparency on who the creatives are and who they're working with, and also just maybe even talk about the inspirations for certain cards and certain themes. I actually saw someone on Twitter say that they learned a lot from the Kamigawa set from their Japanese parents, just because they saw things that referenced that they weren't sure of themselves that their parents recognized. And so just having some reference points and materials that people can actually use when you're actually pulling from real world sources within the fantasy game. Uh, Kyle, I think you wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I apologize. I want to switch topics a little bit because I want to give you a lot of credit. And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to kind of make a hard transition. And I apologize for kind of switching you off this. We can always go back to it, but I want to make sure I give you credit for something. One of the things that you can do in this world to bring others in is not get defensive when you're wrong, not get defensive when you're ignorant. And I made it all the way to grad school without knowing a handful of racial faux pas. And I was very fortunate to have 4 friends that I met in grad school that when I made them, just kind of look at me and be like, Kyle, you can't say that. I'm like, what? Why not? And they'd be like, you can't say that. And one of them was you said, and your wife. And I still think back on those things of like how easy it would have been to be like, no, I can say whatever I want. I'm an American, freedom of speech. And like, no, just be quiet, learn.
Yeah, it just comes from a place as far as, you know, we were in the Midwest, and so not everyone is going to have the same lived experiences. And so it's a matter as far as when you start opening up your, you know, your home and your space to other people that you don't normally interact with, then you have to become knowledgeable of the rest of the world. You know what I mean? So I definitely also commended you as far as you know, opening your home to, with being a foster parent, because that took, before you were able to get to that level, that took a certain amount of growth before you can just start letting, you know, children of other, you know, other backgrounds into your home, into your
Yeah.
space.
Like I definitely want to say something here because I get the whole like transition and ways of thinking. I definitely used to be one of those ignorant people that thought I could just say whatever I wanted or do whatever I wanted. Um, and I said things that I'm not proud of what I said, but it took a lot of my inclusion into the Magic community and meeting a lot of different people of race, gender. I mean, it's crazy how quickly I adapted my ways of thinking by talking to the people that I love spending time with that I would have said uh, like horrible things. I'm not necessarily saying I was a really bad person, but I would have said things that were definitely not appropriate. And I met a good friend of mine, Jordan, and like he really made me think about what I said and how the things I said made others feel. And it really like kind of just made everything click and be like, yeah, that's not cool. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really just a matter of just taking that time to actually just think for a second, like what, not necessarily like what you can or cannot say, but just see the humanity in other people
Yeah.
for a moment.
Yeah, you have to understand how your actions affect others. And if you don't take the time to realize that and that doesn't change your mind about how what you're saying, what you're doing, then
You're just a selfish
what's
prick.
wrong with you?
Okay, so we've gone a little bit long today. Let's switch over to our last little topic. Our hopefully that was a bit of information that a lot of people can take to heart. If people want to hear us talk about it a little bit more, I'm sure we'll be glad to do so either within another episode or even just on online. Or well, personally, I don't think internet's the best place to internet forums are the best place to have these conversations. But if you want us to talk about them, you know, maybe we can do that. But or if we want us to talk about them on our podcast again, we can definitely do that and talk about these any specific situations more at length. But we always have our last little segment, our question of the day. So to our hosts and also to our listeners, what is a favorite card that you love to play that gains you life? Mason, we're going to start with you because Kyle has a secret and we're going to let him go last.
So, as an EDH player, I love building decks. I just enjoy like finding different cards and playing cards I've never played before and different strategies. And I tend to not play planeswalkers. My meta is really creature heavy on the lower to middle power range, and that's normally about where I sit to play. And planeswalkers just don't last very long. But there's one that specifically just like I absolutely love it because yes, I'm Orzhov mage, almost exclusively Orzhov with a couple other things changed in that just usually have Orzhov colors involved in it. And that goes for Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord. 2, a white and a black for a Planeswalker Sorin, starts with 4 loyalty. And the main part here that makes sense is as long as it's your turn, creatures and planeswalkers you control have lifelink. I love,
Nice.
I love, love, love token decks, and throwing this in a token deck that just constantly gets out there and starts beating just gains so much life.
I never would have guessed that a planeswalker would be your favorite lifelinker.
I mean, I've already thrown curveballs at you with the removal one too. Why not throw a planeswalker at you?
and one from Ravnica at that. Like that was one of the little secret gems within a Ravnica set, I suppose. That one wasn't too shabby.
It does good stuff.
That's true. I actually had a toss up between mine. I looked at what colors I play the most, and also what card tends to make it in the most. At first, it was going to be Disciple of Gristlebrand, just because it's a cheap little guy that can get out there early, and if there's ever a board wipe, I can gain myself some life by sacrificing them by paying 1, sacrificing my board first by paying 1. So that's a little cheap little trick I like to throw in. But my all-time favorite, I would probably have to say, is Krav the Unredeemed. And this is one of those other cards I feel like it's getting slept on as well. You can either choose to partner it up with this partner or Regna or not, but sometimes I like to play Krav solo. And this guy, he's a 5-drop, 4 and a black, and for just 1 black mana, sacrifice X creatures. Target player draws X cards and gains X life, and then you put that many X 1/1 counters on Krav the Unredeemed. It's doing so much with just 1 black mana and sacrificing other creatures on the board. And I did not realize that it said target player can draw those cards and gain X life. So it could be group hug if you wanted to be. It came out in Battle Bond, so I probably should have paid attention to that.
Such a good card, dude.
Yeah. All right. The drum roll. Kyle, what is your secret life gaining card?
All right, you guys are going to be so disappointed. So we'll again see if you can figure it out. I'll give you a couple of little hints and clues. This card's not very good, but it's the first card I think of when I think about life gain. It was originally printed in Alpha, printed in about every core set until 9th edition. It's got gorgeous Mark Poole art. Do you know it?
I already give up.
Mason?
I'm racking my brain.
All right. The card is Stream of Life. It's a very simple sorcery for X and a green, gain X life. And I used to run this in my little kid big green deck that just ran all the mana acceleration I had and a bunch of big creatures, and occasionally I'd Stream of Life for 20. I'm like, oh, I can't lose now. I've got 40 life.
I'm taking a look at the card art right now. I feel like that should be censored.
Oh,
look at the Mark
Poole
Poole version.
I can 100% see it.
Okay. I was looking at the Andrew Goldhawk version. It's the first one that popped up.
I know the card's not very good, but it's simple, and it's where I think of when I think of life gain.
Okay. No faults here. Everyone's not perfect. So again, to the listeners, let us know in the comments or on our social media, what is your favorite card that gained you life? There are plenty of cards that we didn't talk about because we just did not have the time. There are a lot of life gain, life drain effects in black. We tend to see life gain all across the spectrum as far as white, green, black cards. Maybe sprinkling a little bit of blue and white Azorius as well. But there are so many that we didn't touch. So let us know what your favorite card is that helps gain you life. But closing out, you can find our podcast on YouTube currently, and we'll update you later on more locations where we're going to host this thing. But yeah, that's where you can interact with us. Also, you can interact with us on Twitter, and me specifically at said_senpai.
I'm at Kyle C. Carson.
Yep, Kyle C. Carson. And Mason, where can they find you again?
All I do is EDH.
That's right. And we are under the One More Mana banner on which you can find on Twitter as well. And if you want to buy any of the cards that we mentioned today, you can find it in our affiliate link through TCG Player, which is found below in the description. Also, if you want to help the channel out as well, you can donate to our Patreon, and we'll have some goodies for you waiting there. But again, we are the EDH Dads, and you've been listening to MTGFAM, Magic the Gathering, Family and Magic. But tonight, we're signing off.